Minnesota has an abundance of talented musicians. Welcome to A Taste of Talent on the Road, where we will chat with Minnesota musicians of any genre, talking about their story and their music, shining a light on diversity in local music. I am your host, Jacob Woody. Let's find out what is vibing in the hearts and souls of Minnesota music. This is A Taste of Talent on the Road. Hey everybody, welcome to A Taste of Talent on the Road. I am Jacob Woody. I am here with the King of Blues in the Lakes area, Mr. Jack. Thank you so much for joining. You can hit that guitar whenever you're ready to go.
Well, it's Friday night and the week is done. Some friends get together for some innocent fun. Someone's taking pictures on their cell phone. You see them on the screen before you all get home. Accepted as a friend and now it's time to share. Post a JPEG from the weekend as if you're unaware. Antics are displayed for the world to see. You just become another Facebook casualty. Easy application, sign up for free. Friends of ages past located easily. Tell them that you like this and scroll down the page. Add another friend, it's the latest rage. It's in your face, a one world people nook. Tell-all story on a cyber scrapbook. Another news story, another slips into the sea. Another victim falls a Facebook casualty. It's a great communication unlike never before. We laugh and we share and then we search some more. We post our lives for the world to see, as if we were naked with no sanity. Discretion is a virtue we've thrown out the door. We're so engulfed in gossip soup that we adore. Instant gratification, what may be, may be. Perhaps another Facebook casualty. Easy application, sign up for free. Friends of ages past located easily. Tell them that you like this and scroll down the page. Add another friend, it's the latest rage. It's in your face, a one world people nook. A tell-all story on a cyber scrapbook. Another news story, another slips into the sea. Another victim falls a Facebook casualty. That's the truth.
Yeah, tell me how you really feel, Mr. Jack. Oh man, that's a great tune. What made you inspire to get that tune going?
First of all the crazy things that you see on Facebook, it's gotten to be a political, well, not just political, it's a social soapbox platform for people to voice everything they think and things that they even shouldn't do is voiced on there. And I'm kind of as a songwriter, I'm not really a pop type songwriter. I'm more of a journalistic commentator in my songwriting. And I take issues of whether it's personal issues or social issues and those type of things, and I basically comment on them or write songs from that type of thing. I think I've only written maybe 2 or 3 love songs in my whole life.
Oh wow!
Otherwise, all songs and are basically about issues.
Well, mine's been mostly about heartbreak. What does that tell you?
Wow.
Well, say, Mr. Jack, thank you so much for being on the show. I owe a lot to you. I really appreciate you even agreeing to do this, and I'm just really excited for it. Why don't we just go way back
Okay.
And what made you get started in playing guitar and music and all of that?
Oh, wow. Interesting enough, I didn't start guitar till I was 19, and I'm a lot older now. But I got a late start as well. And my brother, who was 10 years younger than myself, so he was 9, we started at the same time. And I actually bought him a guitar first.
Sure.
And thought, well, that's pretty cool. And I decided something I wanted to try and get into. So my brother and I basically learned together.
Yeah.
And that's where I started with just learning things. And just been going ever since.
Wow.
It's something. Music is an instrument. It's something you never really get to where you want to be. You're always growing and going up steps of the rungs and the ladders or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where I'm still at. I'm still learning things. So. Oh,
we always are, always learning, aren't we?
Yep.
So then, who taught you how to play guitar?
Actually, listen to this. This is kind of cool. Thanks for asking that question.
You're welcome.
I started by myself, but I had a former classmate from high school. We were out of high school at the time, but he was living in town. He was a guitar player, and he was a friend of mine, so I asked him to show me some things. The very first song I learned that he taught me, he didn't teach me the basic G chord, D chord, A chord, whatever. He taught me Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, is the first one?
The very first song I ever learned was Stairway to Heaven. And it wasn't really, that's a pretty complex song.
Yeah.
And that's what he taught me. The second song I ever learned was Take It Easy by the Eagles.
Okay.
And just to date myself, those songs were like top popular at the time. They were just recently out. Or within a year or two, whatever. But so I was learning the pop songs of the time, which are now classic rock like I am. It wasn't until like 1984 when I really discovered the blues, and this is rather funny because a lot of blues people laugh at this, but there was a movie called Crossroads with the before then previous Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, was a star in it. And he was searching for the long and lost last song of the famous bluesman Robert Johnson, who I knew nothing about. Oh. But I remember the opening scene of that movie. He's sitting in his little dorm room at the Juilliard School of Music, and he's playing some classical stuff. And classical guitar is totally different, and you're like, which I know nothing about except that, and. Then he sets it aside and he picks up this old beat-up guitar in the corner, and he takes out a little thing, puts on his finger, which is called a slide, which I wasn't sure at that time what all this stuff was. But he starts playing this stuff. He puts in a cassette tape. That dates the movie. And they do a zoom in on the cassette player, and it says Robert Johnson hits or something like that. I stopped the movie, rewound it. I wanted to see who this Robert Johnson was because I was hearing this music I've never heard before. And I'm like, what is this? And I went down to the music store the next day and said, hey, do you know anything about Robert Johnson? And the music store guy just laughed at me and said, of course I do. And I ordered 2 vinyl albums of Robert Johnson. And that was my intro into blues. I started studying where did this stuff come from. And so blues is my primary. I'm pretty much a blues historian now. I mean, I've been studying it for many years, right. And I even have a radio show on it called Cruising the Blues with Mr. Jack.
Oh, we'll discuss that.
Which is just blues from early periods through today and what's happening today as well. So anyway, that's where it all came from.
Wow, yeah. And it's always cool because, I mean, the stuff you listen to when you're younger, I mean, for everybody, when they're a musician, it really, forms them later. Yep. And it's always nice because, like with me, when it comes to traditional country, I mean, I'm pretty much a historian on Johnny Cash. You know?
Well, let's even traditional country. You take Hank Williams or Jimmy Rogers. Sure. Some of those old. That was basically. Of course, at that time, to be honest with you, at those times, there wasn't categories for music. They were actually called hillbilly music and despised by the upper class people and so forth. But when we came into classes of music, if you go back, you'll see that a lot of that music was blues. Hank Williams played a lot of blues, and so did Jimmy Rogers and a lot of those people. So there's something about that blue sound, or whatever you want to call it, that was even in early country, which I still love. I love that too. I'm a Hank Williams fan, and Jimmy Rogers. Although just I know we're short on time, but this is rather interesting too.
No, we're not.
Back in those days when they recorded, they did a single, okay, and they recorded a single, and what happened is that single might be a hit. And then a month later or two, they'd come back and they'd do another song that sounded somewhat similar, a little different, but because that one was a hit and marketing wanted them to have another hit, they did the same thing. So if you listen to a best of Jimmy Rogers album today, every song is going to start out with, "Oh lady, oh lady, oh lady," every song. And I'll tell you what, that gets really monotonous after about 6 songs, okay? But back then, that's not how they bought music. They didn't buy it in albums. It was a single that came out once or every 3 months or something like that, maybe. So anyway, just a little history for you there.
Well, I guess it's time for another tune.
All right. What I do is I write from issues and things I see. And one of the things that I've always been is kind of outside the box.
Sure.
I mean, that's just my whole life. If the crowd was over here, I particularly went over there just because I didn't want to be the regular guy.
Nonconformist.
Like the same, yes, I've always been a nonconformist versus the pack of sheep over here going, bah, bah, which that has applied to my life, my entire life. So I wrote a song called Latest Trend.
All right, let's hear it,
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Jack.
share that with you right now. With drums and everything else. But I just thought, well, for this particular show, it might be kind of fun to do acoustic. So I'm not sure how these songs are going to exactly come out in the acoustic version, but this is Mr. Jack Unplugged. I don't care if Mary cut her hair. I don't care about another Hollywood affair. People are busy yet bored with life, on an express train marred with strife. Well, I don't care about the latest trend. Don't complain about the clothes you wear. Don't want to hear about your new timeshare. Whine and cry you don't have the best. Selfish world, we've so digressed. Don't tell me about your latest trend. Well, tired of hearing about the big toys you own. Tired of loose morals that you condone. There's those out there that can't pay their rent. Loss of jobs and supplements. Don't want to concede to the latest trend. Well now, I won't be chained to the mainstream rage. Won't be a sheep so easily swayed. People are quickly pawned and deceived by media's power to make them believe. No, I won't be bought by the latest trend. No, I won't be bought by the latest trend. That latest trend is not for me. That latest trend.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, let's move forward a little bit in time. Actually, probably a great length of time. When did you have this show on Niji Radio called Cruising the Blues with Mr. Jack, as you mentioned a little earlier. Mm-hmm. How long have you had that show? It's been quite a bit, hasn't it?
I've actually done 174 shows.
Oh, wow.
And am working on 175. I'm not exactly sure how many more I'll do.
Okay.
I'd like to get to 200.
Sure.
And we'll see where it goes. I'm just not sure who's listening to it. Blues is a very small demographic of people, and I'm just not sure where it's at. It's also on PRX, which is the Public Radio Exchange, that people can find it from all over the world, can go there and listen to it.
Right. So it was pretty much to give more people knowledge on blues music was why you wanted to start the show, or?
Yeah, exactly. Because most people, when you say blues, they think blues is negative or depressing, and that's really ridiculous. If you study it or really listen to it, it was basically meant to uplift people, and it was about subject matter that people could relate to.
Right.
And made them feel better to hear, wow, somebody else is dealing with this. But there's so much more to it, and there's so many different areas of blues with a different sound. There's East Coast blues, West Coast blues, Texas blues, Chicago blues, Delta blues, Hill Country blues. I could go on, but there's just a lot of different. Anyway, so yeah, my whole idea was let's educate people as to what the blues genre really is.
Sure. And not only Cruising the Blues, but you've also had some other shows that I've been very honored to be a part of one of them, which was your Then and Now show.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I'd also kind of repay the favor of me being on yours, so I thought, well, let's have him on mine. So, and again, I appreciate it. But
Sure.
and that one, you interviewed a lot of Minnesota musicians, informed people on them, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And what do you think happened around that?
Well, there was, studying that, I had to be related to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. I found out, there was people that a lot of people don't realize are from Minnesota. Judy Garland was from Minnesota.
Right, yeah.
The Andrews sisters, I believe, were from Minnesota. Everybody knows Bob Dylan's from Minnesota. But Eddie Cochran, a famous rock and roll guy from the 50s. Anyway, I learned that there's a lot of different styles of music as well. It was then and now. It was old music to new music and different everything you can think of, from country to rock. The rock world was amazingly busy back in the 60s.
Really?
From regional bands, especially out of the cities. It was just unbelievable. All the different rock bands that sprung up, and some of them became world famous. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think from that show I learned that there was more to Minnesota in the music world than I ever expected.
Sure, yeah, we got good roots here in this state, don't we?
We sure do.
Man, well, I think it's time for another tune. We can actually play one that you've performed at my Taste of Talent.
Oh, sure.
And actually, I should also mention that the reason that this happened is because the 2020 of how that year happened turned this into a TV and radio show. So this is Taste of Talent on the road, where it still emphasizes on musicians and everything, but it has a more background on the musician, not them just playing. Here is Marked Man, performed by Mr. Jack at the 2019 Taste of Talent.
A marked man by a worthy foe, hit between the armor in a knockout blow. A marked man, now in light diffuse, gunned down on Deception Avenue, running away from all he had known. The truth he beheld but no longer owned. Years in training, the message he believed. He thought he knew the way, but the message was deceived. Oh no, no, no. A marked man by a worthy foe, hit between the armor in a knockout blow. A marked man, now in light diffused, gunned down on Deception Avenue. Authority was his, or so he was told. He spoke the word, oh so ever bold. Assassin plotted for years in advance. A well-placed vantage point. He licked his lips and he laughed. Ha 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 ha! A marked man by a worthy foe, hit between the armor in a knockout blow. A marked man, now a light diffused, gunned down on Deception Avenue. Lying there on the battlefield, stunned, shocked, unable to move. He hears a voice, you're not done yet, I haven't abandoned you. His candle blown out, his hope was melted down. His attention swayed, he was easily outdrawn. The attention outdrawn, and he's in a surprise attack. His faith was shattered from the sharp-edged flak. Oh no, no, no! A marked man by a worthy foe, hit between the armor in a knockout blow. A marked man, now in light diffused, gunned down on Deception Avenue.
You're tuned into A Taste of Talent on the Road. That was Mr. Jack playing a marked man at 2019 Taste of Talent, and I'm here with the man himself, still.
The marked man.
The marked man himself. Real quick, I would love to say thank you so much for helping my musical journey as well as you have. I mean, you're the one who helped with both albums that I've done and playing guitar on both of them with some vocals, harmonica, all that stuff.
Thank you.
Very inspirational, very hardworking with it. And I just really want to thank you. It's nice to have a good relationship here between us two.
Thank you, man. I
You're
appreciate that.
very welcome.
It's cool.
And when it comes to that, I mean, you have a lot of people you mentor, a lot of people you teach, and all that stuff. What did that just come naturally to you? What, you like?
Yeah, I'm kind of a natural gifted teacher. Well, I just kind of I actually think there's a little truth to that. But, as far as there's people that, if you'll think about it, there's major stars that have tried to do teaching tutorials of their guitar playing, and they suck at teaching. They're great players, but they can't teach. So there's something behind that. And I've just always been a teacher.
Sure.
It's been easy for me to do and relate to people. And I used to start with guitar lessons. I started them at age 10. That was my minimum. I remember one time I had a mother that called me a number of times and told me that her 6-year-old son was a genius. And she kept calling me and told me, no, you really need to try him. He's a genius. I found out after 2 lessons he was a 6-year-old. And we ended up talking about my rock collection. I taught him how to read hands on a clock. And maybe we'd spend 10 minutes on music during our hour lesson for a 6-year-old. That made me decide right then and there, okay, I'm going to change my age minimum to 10, which I did. And then my lessons were always, I learned early on, instead of just giving them, got my mojo working by Muddy Waters to learn, that maybe I should ask them what kind of music they like and let them pick songs. Because every song has a different chord progression, lyrical attack or phrasing, if they're singing. Different chords and all that. So I could teach them the basics from songs that they liked. And that's became, and then I also realized that if I gave them a song they liked to learn, they were going to practice it.
Right.
And that really did help. So that was part of my teaching method. My philosophy in teaching was keep it fun.
Yeah.
If it becomes another job, and in a sense, if I had a student that I knew could possibly go somewhere, I would push them a little bit. Mm-hmm. But most of the time I didn't do that because I wanted music to be something that was just enjoyable and fun for them. When they had a stressful day at school or whatever it might be, they could go home and pick up their guitar and play something and just relax. That was kind of my philosophy. So I stuck with that through all the years. I've really cut back on guitar lessons. I'm at a place now where I'm really not interested in teaching basics anymore. I have a few students that I had remaining on for a period that are very enthused and have a passion for writing music, recording, or just learning guitar. So those students I kept, but I do not plan on taking on any new students anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I'm retiring from that.
Oh, surprising.
I've been doing it for almost 40 years.
Yeah,
well, so it's time to hang it up. No, here's the other thing. One other thing what's interesting as time goes, I've been doing it for 40 years. I used to put lessons on CDs for people. Well, nobody listens to CDs anymore. They just have, their social media programs that they tune into or whatever it might be. And the other thing is I've found that a lot of the younger generation, which I can say now because I'm one of the old people, don't know. They've never heard of somebody like, I've had students have never heard of the Beatles, and that's just unbelievable to me because I believe they played a major part in music.
Yeah.
People have never heard of the Rolling Stones or Johnny Cash. I've had students that have never, I know that hits you hard. I just had to mention that one. But I've had students, seriously, that don't even know who that is.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, they need to go to some teacher that's younger, that knows more what they want to. It does, and a lot of people, to be honest with you, and I don't believe this is just my opinion, but a lot of the people do not want to know history anymore. They're not interested in history. And to me, part of teaching them was, where did this music come from? Because I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from going back to the roots of my favorite music and finding out more about it. But today I have students that just he and haw, and they just put up a fit when I would show them. I'd show them some old music, and they're just like, So it got to a place where I just thought, okay, it's time for me to hang it up. So that's why I'm doing that.
Sure. And I'm sure, like every teacher you ask this, I'll probably get almost the same answer back. But I'm also guessing it's the same in your case, where sure you're teaching them, but you learn a lot from them as well.
Oh, definitely.
It's a two-way street. It's not all one way.
This is really interesting. Just recently, one of my students that has passion for music and has an amazing ear. She's like, I have a brother that has the perfect pitch ear.
Oh, really?
He could tell you if you sing a song, he'll tell you what key you're in. I mean, or he can tell you what, he could tune his guitar without a tuner, that type of guy. Well, this student I have is very similar to that. And as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, my first song was Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
And I've never heard two people do it the same, to be honest with you. Close, maybe. But I always thought I had it right. Well, my 17-year-old student just showed me something the other day. She goes, I don't think that's right there. I think they hold the A minor on that chord. And I listened back, and she played it for me, and I'm like, you're right. So yes, I have learned from my students as well.
And that's always good.
And I think a good teacher is one that's teachable as well.
Right. Very true. Very true. Yeah. And to bring your point home with the no two people have played Stairway to Heaven the same. Yeah. Oh, believe me, you hear a lot of that in the music store, and it's very true.
Yes.
It's very true. It's not the same.
Tapestry woven, needlepoint to the heart, complex pictorials, stories of multi-parts. The novel is written for authors unbeknownst, a history of what would be together two hearts are sewn. song of compassion, co-written by two. One ear lent to the other with intentions oh so true. Bound by emotions, lost in light diffused. A fog of love's caress now, too tight to cut loose. Forbidden, it's a catch-22. It's forbidden to be in love with you. It's forbidden, an emotional affair. It's forbidden, caught off guard and unaware. I had wisdom to offer, my heart wanting to help. I held you in my arms and then my heart began to melt. I'm now in turmoil, can this really be true? I never meant to hurt nobody, but my feelings won't cut loose. Life is like a puzzle spread out on the battleground. There are pieces missing, there's confusion all around. Enemies planted weapon to destroy you and me. Yet we seem to question and our eyes just don't want to see. Forbidden, it's a catch-22. It's forbidden to be in love with you. It's forbidden, an emotional affair. It's forbidden, caught off guard and unaware. It's forbidden. Oh, it's forbidden.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I like that one. That one's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just one of those things that many people have gone through. You know.
Yeah, very true. What's your method on songwriting then?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, how do you get into the mode of writing? And
this is interesting. I believe, I could be wrong, and I don't have any statistics on this, but I believe that most songwriters, people that write songs write lyrics first. They come up with a subject and write lyrics, and then it's put to music, which for me has always been hard to do. Matter of fact, I have a student that's doing that. And she has a very hard time fitting her words into music because she writes the words first, and then she's trying to fit her lyrics into the right measures and then the time and so forth.
Right.
And it's just almost impossible for her to do. My method's always been, I might have a theme or something in my mind, an issue, subject matter, observation that I want to write about, which I have a bunch right now that I'm working on. I'm working on one about someday. And there was a song by CCR that went "Someday Never Comes," so I can't copy that one.
Oh,
but that's kind of the idea I have is that it was always someday. We're always thinking we're going to do that someday. It's on our list, you know. Anyway, but normally what I do is I'll come up with a riff or a chord progression, or and then I'll think about the theme. Or rather, if I have the theme first, I'll write the chord progression that fits that. Like, it's either a moderate progression or a slow song or a faster song, whatever. Happy. I do write happy stuff, but very seldom. But anyway, so I write the music first and get that down, and then I come back and write the lyrics with the theme I had in mind.
Sure.
And that's how I write.
So in a way, you kind of get in a musical mood. And then think of the poetry after you lay down your foundation in music.
Right. Again, I may have a theme of what I want to write about. Like I had a song called "Running Restless Run." Well, that's not going to be a slow blues.
Right.
So I had this idea, and it's about how we're always running, running all the time, running here and there, in our busy society.
Right.
Well, so that song had to be a little bit more upbeat. So I come up with a riff and basically a chord progression for that, and then I wrote the words to it. But I had the theme in mind.
Oh, okay.
So,
very interesting. I like that because, personally, I know this isn't my show, but I'll do them both at the same time. I'll think of let's see what chord. Okay, that sounds cool, and then some will be gelling and then it'll finally go on paper. It'll gel for a while, like what I should do, and then it'll finally go. Like I just wrote one recently like that. But yeah, that's really cool. I kind of like how you get that foundation first. Speaking of foundations,
that's why they're all perfect.
You and being a perfectionist, huh, Mr. Jack? No. But speaking of foundations, I notice, and because I know you on a personal level and everything, that there's also probably a hint, or maybe more than a hint, of a bit religion into your tunes. And that's, and that's probably because of the person you are, and how does religion play into your music?
I would say religion's a really tough word, because religion is, in my opinion, is a way that man has to get to God.
Sure.
Where, in my case, it's more about Christianity and God's way to get to man, and I have a moral basis or foundation based on the Bible. Okay, and so my morals are based on a biblical foundation versus religion.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people mix them up and think they're the same thing, but I do not. I believe that, like I said, I believe religion is man's idea of how he can get to God. And I believe that the Bible and God and his ways are, he's come to us, and we just need to accept him. But yeah, a lot of my songs have good morals to them.
Sure.
They may be like the last song that we just played, which was Forbidden, which is dealing with something that to a moral person is immoral, but I'm addressing the issue again, and so anyway, that's kind of where it's coming from. It has to do with my belief, yeah.
And I also like how you don't like to really sugarcoat the things that you want in your songs. Right. And that's very admirable for another songwriter. Because, I mean, here I go name dropping, but like how Johnny Cash said, if you're going to say something, just say it. Yeah. Instead of trying to I don't want to, be offensive or anything. Oh, just say it, and if people are, then that's, their problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a song that I shared with a friend of mine who just was appalled by it. Well, I don't know why he was appalled by it, but anyway, an example of what inspires me to write a song. I was in my garage one day working on something, and I looked up at the screen, and there was some flies and some bugs on the screen. And I looked at them for a minute, and I thought, what the heck? And I went over there, and I tried to shoo them away. And all they did is they'd fly to another part of the screen. They wouldn't go out the door. I had the garage door open and everything. I tried to get them out of there. But do you think that the stupid bugs would go out the door? No, they kept trying. They could see what was outside. Right. They could see their goal, right? Mm-hmm. But do you think they'd go there? No. And I thought, that's just like us humans. We're like bugs on a screen. So I wrote a song called Bugs on a Screen, and it was just about that very thing, about how basically we're like sheep that follow the rest of the flock, and we don't question things. We just go and follow them to the slaughter, basically. And like bugs, that bug's going to stay on that screen till he fries from the sun hitting him or whatever. And I thought, that's the way a lot of us people are. We're like bugs on a screen. We can see where we want to go, but we don't take the easy. It's right behind us. The way is right behind us to get out, but or to the left or right of us. But we don't go there. We just keep going, trying to get through that screen. So anyway, that inspired me to write a song called Bugs on the Screen. So
interesting. Well, speaking of songwriting, let's hear another tune.
All right. This is another one that I think a lot of people can relate to. But one of my favorite things in life, and one of my favorite trucks in life, is the UPS truck when it comes to my door. Because it's bringing me something.
Right.
People, let me tell you about my life. Got a bunch of grandkids and a lovely wife. There's one thing that just excites me so. UPS driver coming up to my door. Well, it started out when I was tricks. 5 proofs of purchase and a $2 bill. 6 to 8 weeks before I'd get my thrill. I'd get a package, get a thrill that just won't fail. I'd get a package, people. In the mail. Well, staring out my window, looking down the street. The mailman's coming, my heart skips a beat. Sample of toothpaste, the bill for my house. Speed of delivery is at my house. Yeah, I'm staring out my window, looking down the street. I said that mailman's coming and my heart skips a beat. Speedy delivery, FedEx or a drone, from orders I placed on my cell phone. Yeah, magazines I can hold in my hand. It's another large box from Musician's Friend. Amazon's a jungle I love to explore. I hope they send one of those drones directly to my door. I got a package, got a thrill that just won't fail. Yeah, another package. In the mail. Well, feeling kinda anxious, feeling kinda blue. It's been 2 days. Did my order go through? Well, I'm gonna track my package with just one click. I can see the driver's route on this app is sure slick. He's on his way. Gonna be delivered today. I spell relief, M-A-I-N-L. Shutterfly's great, Barnes and Noble is swell. I love to place an order by phone or online. Excuse me, driver, is that package mine? I want a package, want a thrill that just won't fail. I want a package. In the mail. I want one every day. I tell my grandkids, hey, there's my favorite truck. It's brown.
Oh, yeah. Has to be one of my favorite tunes of yours, honestly.
Well, thanks. Just another thing people can relate to, I think.
Right. You know? Now, if you'll indulge me a little bit, because with that tune especially, music's to have fun. You're supposed to have fun with it. So I thought I had a little inspiration, and I wrote a parody for that tune. At one point, and I think I played it for you once, but it was years ago now, and I changed it to be Pampers in the Mail, where it switched it into being really older, and it was more that way, like, I want the Meals and Wheels driver to my door, I got my Pampers,
Oh, that's great.
And I just thought I'd mention that real quick, but
very good. I'm glad I inspired you.
There you go. One of multiple times there, Mr. Jack.
That's super.
Well, Mr. Jack, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking.
We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, I did too, besides playing acoustic guitar, which I never do.
That was your choice. Don't pin it on me.
I do have electrics that I really enjoy, but, I just thought, well, let's just do the unplugged thing and see how it goes.
Yeah, it went really well, I thought.
A couple of fumbles there, but I'm still happy with what I ended up doing. So.
Well, good. That's all that matters then.
Yeah, that's right. That's all that matters.
Anyway, thank you all very much for listening and watching. This has been A Taste of Talent on the Road with my guest of this hour, Mr. Jack. If I could talk, that'd be great. And again, thank you, and thank you all for watching and listening, and we'll see you sometime later. The following program has been brought to you by the Minnesota Arts, Cultural, and Heritage Fund. If you like what you hear and like to hear more, you can check out nijiradio.org or prx.org. I am Jacob Woody, and you've been listening to A Taste of Talent on the Road. Thank you so much for your time.